Hey everyone, so today I'm going to teach you how to do the herringbone stitch, and this is what it looks like. It's really cool. So there is going to be a lot of explaining for me to do in the beginning. So first I'm going to start with materials, scissors, elastic. I'm using 0.5mm stretch magic. Normally I would use this one, which is clear, but for tutorial purposes I am using black, so you guys can see that better. These are pony beads. You could use any size beads, like you could use 6/0 seed beads, 11/0 seed beads, 8/0 seed beads, which I don't have with me right now, but any beads you would like, really. And this is how you're going to need to know how many you're going to need of each color. You're going to need, I like to do 4 rows at the least, but 3 I guess would work. But it starts to form mostly at 4, and you'll understand what I mean once we get to more rows. But for how many beads you're going to need, it all depends on your wrist size. But what you're going to need, like the amount, they can only be divisible by 4. So say this one I did 28, like these 2 colors. 16 of each, so 28 in total, and then the way I do it is a bit different. Like, it's a bit confusing starting out, but it's pretty easy also. So it has to be divisible by 4, but how do you know which is the right size? Well, 28, 14 for each. I'm doing 16 for each today, because this is, here, let me show you. See, that's a bit tight on me. I want it to be a bit tight, looser. So if I was going to want it even bigger than that, I would have to add another 4, so which is 36, and I just keep going up. So if your wrist is standard 32, then you're probably gonna need 40 beads. But my wrist is 24, 26, 28, around there. So, yeah, so I'm going with 32. I know that might seem a little bit confusing, but you're just going to have to play around with it and see what you think is best. So what I'm going to do is just cut a piece of string. Well, I don't like to cut it yet, but what we're going to do is start with a pattern. So 2 beads with 1 color, 2 beads with the other, 2 beads with the first color you did. And you can, you don't have to do these alternating colors, but I find it is a lot easier and it looks cooler. Like, you could do it all the same color, but then you'd have to count more, and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend doing at least 3 rows. When I did my 3rd row, it did not look very tight. Like, the 4th row really completed it, and I decided to add another row. So I'm just gonna finish stringing on my beads, and I'll show you what to do. Okay, so now I strung on all my beads, and I'm just gonna tie it off in a single. You can tie off or leave a really long string, but I'm gonna tie off because I find it to be so much easier. And by tying off, I mean taking a new piece of string, like, each time you're doing another row. And it's just so much easier. Okay, so tie it however many times you're comfortable with. I normally like to do 4 times, like 6 at the max. So I know this looks really big for my wrist, like extremely big, but that's what this part is going to change. Okay, so whatever color you want to be your first row, you're not gonna thread through. Like, okay, so you're gonna thread through the color you want to be your 2nd row. So I want this metallic blue, or shiny pearl blue to be my second row. So what I'm going to do is thread through the first bead. I'm going towards the left. Like, you can start at the right and go to the right, but because I'm a lefty, I just find it to be easier. So I'm going to go like that. And now I'm going to thread on the color of my third row. So 2 beads. So I'm doing that green. And then you're going to thread through that bead, the second blue or whatever color you're doing, like that. And now we're just going to skip over these 2 beads and thread through that first bead of the other color. So that's why it'd be a bit confusing if you did all the same color and then changed it for the second row, because you then have to, or changed it for the third row, and you'd have to you'd have to count. So we thread on our 2 beads, then we thread through the other second row color. Pull, and that's when your herringbone will start to form. And then we're going to skip over these 2 of your the color of your first row, then thread through the color of your second row, the first bead. And then again, we are going to pick up 2 beads, thread through the bead next to the one that your string is coming out of, like that. And then we skip over the 2 beads for the first row and thread through. I'm going to show you one more time. So we thread through that first bead. We're going to add on our 2 beads, like that. Thread through the next bead right next to it. So it is like that. Then we just skip over those 2 beads and thread through. And we're just going to keep going around, and I'll show you when this process is complete. And you don't want this to be twisted, or else it's going to be a bit messed up. But see how it's kind of awkward? Like that. It's just weird. You don't, that's why I recommend doing 4 rows. So yeah, I'll be back once I finish. Okay, so I'm right here, right before I'm going to have to tie it off. So this is my last 2 beads. I'm threading through that first bead, or I threaded through that first bead. And I'm going to add on my 2 beads. And then I'm going to thread through the second bead. Okay, and now you're like, what do I do now? Do I thread it through this bead? No. What you're going to do is just tie it, not too tight, not too loose. Whoops. Missed that. Okay. I definitely do recommend getting this black string by Stretch Magic, 0.5 millimeters. It is very good. It's durable, but it's thin. It's really good. Okay. And then we just snip that off. And see how it's the shape is just a little bit weird. But you can leave it like this, and it's still a very pretty bracelet. But I'm going to continue. So I'm going to show you how to continue with your next row. So you have this bead. I'm going to continue with my pattern of going to the left. I'm only going to show you this twice because my battery's going to die. So we're going to take that, thread through thread through the first bead, add on your 2 beads, and just do the same thing of threading through that second bead. But now, see, we have that big gap. We're just going to skip that gap, and just thread right through the next green bead, or your next segment of your third row. Then you're going to add on your 2 beads, and just thread through the next green, and thread through the next segment, and continue that all the way around. I'm going to charge my battery and then show you guys what to do next. Okay, so I finished stringing all the beads through and stuff, and then I'm just going to tie it off, even if there's that space. Just going to tie it, not too tight and not too loose, just right. Sorry if you hear anything in the background. Guinea pig, crazy, going crazy as usual. Okay, so you can continue this, doing the exact same process until your bracelet is as high as the sky. So yeah, that's what it looks like. And if you use really stretchy string, it's gonna stretch out a lot. So I like the size. It's a good size for me. Okay, and alright, so you can add this to anything you want. Like what you can do, so you see, like, see that spaces, like if you want to keep it like a rainbow, like that, you just add beads in between here and stuff. Like, you'd, instead of like skipping that, you'd when you skip it, you'd add like what's it called? I can't think of it. You'd add a clear bead. I mean, I haven't really figured it out yet, but that's what you would do. Okay? So it looks really cool. And especially if you do it with rainbow, which I have not yet. Seed beads, try it out. Tell me if it turns out good. See, if I wanted to, I'd add an extra row, thread through, add on the 2 beads, thread through this bead, and 2 beads, thread through that bead, thread through here, 2 beads, and keep going, tie off. And yeah, this one I definitely think is a lot tighter. If you felt it, it's really tight, but look how easily I do that, and look how much I struggle with that. So hope you enjoyed. Sorry I'm talking a lot. It's not off task. I am explaining stuff about this bracelet, so yeah. That's what it looks like. Okay? Really simple. If I do it with some seed beads, I will definitely show you guys in my next tutorial. If I do it for my next tutorial. So, yeah. Okay? Bye, guys.